There are moments in life that seem completely ordinary until we look back and realize they quietly changed everything. Most people imagine that important answers arrive with certainty. They expect a dramatic event, a powerful conversation, a life-changing opportunity that clearly announces itself. But life rarely works that way. More often, the greatest truths arrive gently, almost unnoticed, hidden inside moments that appear too small to matter. This message is for the soul, who has been wondering whether someone connected to their journey is beginning to understand what life has been trying to show them. Because they are, not through loud signs, not through impossible coincidences, but through a growing awareness that has quietly followed them for much longer than they realized. For years, they believed every important decision had to be made through logic alone. If something could not be explained, they questioned it. If a feeling did not make immediate sense, they ignored it. If their heart whispered something different from their mind, they almost always listened to the mind. It felt safer that way, predictable, practical, reasonable. And for a long time, that approach seemed to work. They built routines, solved problems, moved forward one responsibility at a time. People admired how dependable they appeared. Yet beneath that dependable exterior was a quiet feeling they could never completely explain. A feeling that something important was trying to reach them. But they were too busy analyzing everything to actually listen. They dismissed it as imagination, stress, fatigue. They told themselves that meaningful lives are built through action, not intuition. Yet life continued placing the same lessons in front of them, the same emotional patterns, the same kinds of people, the same unanswered questions, different faces, different places, different circumstances. Yet, strangely, the lessons always felt familiar. At first, they never noticed the pattern. They believed each experience was completely unrelated to the last. But recently, something changed. One quiet afternoon, they found themselves remembering 3 completely different moments from different years of their life. At first glance, those memories had nothing in common. One happened during a conversation, another while traveling. The third during an ordinary evening they had almost forgotten. Yet all 3 carried the exact same feeling. The feeling that life had been gently trying to slow them down. Not to stop their progress, but to help them notice something they kept overlooking. That realization stayed with them. Over the following days, they became more observant. Instead of rushing from one task to another, they allowed themselves to pause. They began noticing how often their first instinct quietly understood situations before their logical mind caught up. They remembered times when something felt wrong, even though everything looked perfect. Moments when they ignored that feeling, only to later discover their intuition had been right. They also remembered moments when they felt unexpectedly peaceful around certain people without any obvious explanation. Back then they dismissed those feelings. Now they are beginning to understand that peace is rarely accidental. The heart often recognizes safety before the mind understands why. This thought changed the way they looked at nearly every important chapter of their past. They realized that life had never stopped communicating with them. It simply spoke a language they had never learned to trust. Not through words, but through repeated experiences, gentle emotions, unexpected clarity, and quiet inner knowing. As this awareness continued growing, another realization emerged. They had spent years asking life for obvious answers. Yet perhaps the answers had always been subtle, because subtle truths require a quieter heart to recognize them. That idea transformed something inside them. Instead of demanding certainty, they became curious. Instead of rushing toward conclusions, they observed. Instead of asking, what should happen next, they gently began asking, what is life trying to teach me through this moment? That single question changed the atmosphere of their days. Suddenly, ordinary experiences no longer felt ordinary. A conversation revealed wisdom they previously overlooked. A delayed plan no longer felt like frustration. It became an opportunity to reflect. A peaceful walk became more valuable than endless hours of overthinking. They started realizing that awareness grows slowly. It cannot be forced. Just as the sunrise never rushes, neither does inner clarity. The more patient they became with themselves, the more they noticed another surprising truth. Many of their greatest struggles had not come from circumstances. They came from resisting what their own heart already knew. Whenever fear spoke louder than intuition, life became more complicated. Whenever they ignored inner peace in order to satisfy expectations, they felt emotionally exhausted. Whenever they chose certainty over authenticity, they quietly drifted further away from themselves. They have learned that peace does not come from knowing exactly what tomorrow will bring. Peace comes from knowing they will meet tomorrow with honesty, wisdom, and an open heart. As this inner confidence grows, another transformation quietly begins. They notice how differently they respond to challenges. Where they once reacted with frustration, they now pause. Where they once searched for someone to blame, they now search for understanding. Where they once feared making mistakes, they now see every experience as part of their education. This emotional maturity is changing every relationship around them. People feel more comfortable speaking honestly. Conversations become deeper. Silence no longer feels awkward. It feels peaceful. For the first time in a long while, they are no longer trying to impress the world. They are trying to understand themselves, and that journey has become far more rewarding than they ever imagined. There is another truth they are only now beginning to accept. Many of the answers they spent years searching for were never hidden. They were simply impossible to recognize while fear was making every decision. Fear demanded immediate certainty. Wisdom asked for patience. Fear focused on what could be lost. Wisdom quietly noticed what could still be gained. Little by little, wisdom has begun speaking louder, not because fear disappeared, but because they finally stopped believing fear deserved the final decision. This has become one of the greatest turning points of their life. They now trust their inner peace more than outside pressure. They value alignment more than approval. They choose authenticity over appearances. These choices may seem invisible to others, yet they are reshaping everything. Each honest conversation strengthens their confidence. Each peaceful decision strengthens their intuition. Each moment of self-awareness reminds them that growth is not measured by speed. It is measured by sincerity. As they continue walking this path, they also begin releasing another burden. The need to have every answer today. They understand that some truths reveal themselves only after enough life has been lived. Some lessons can only be understood by experience. Some blessings require preparation before they can be fully appreciated. That understanding has replaced impatience with quiet confidence. They no longer believe life is keeping something from them. They believe life is preparing them for what truly belongs to them. Perhaps this has been the hidden purpose behind every sign they almost missed. not to predict the future, but to transform the person who will one day walk into that future. Now, when they wake each morning, they no longer ask, "What problem must I solve today?" Instead, they gently ask, "What truth is life inviting me to notice today?" That question has become their compass. It keeps them present. It keeps them humble. It keeps them open to possibilities they once would have ignored. And perhaps that openness is the greatest sign of all. Because a heart that is willing to learn can never truly remain lost. Every experience becomes a teacher. Every challenge becomes an opportunity. Every quiet moment becomes a doorway to deeper understanding. Your soulmate is beginning to realize that the signs were never outside them alone. The greatest sign has always been the gentle voice within, the one that patiently waited beneath every fear, every distraction, and every doubt. Now they finally recognize that voice. They trust it. They honor it. And because of that, they are becoming someone entirely different from the person they used to be. Not louder, not more perfect, simply more present, more aware, more compassionate, more aligned with the truth of their own heart. Perhaps that is the miracle they were searching for all along. Not a dramatic event that changed their life overnight, but a quiet awakening that changed the way they would live every day that followed. And sometimes that kind of transformation becomes the beginning of the most meaningful chapter a soul will ever experience.